Hello, welcome back to Big Owl's video. Thank you, Arlo, very much for that wonderful introduction. That's correct. This video is all about harnesses and how, so far, at the age of 4 months, we've progressed with a variety of different harnesses used for Arlo when he goes out for a walk. Now, just a quick point to make before I go into the different harnesses and why we got them. Initially, when you first get your puppy, if you get him from straight away, you know, at the age of 8 weeks, you've got to understand that you can't actually take your puppy for walks. It's really, really frustrating in some ways because you really want to go for walks with them, but you can't at the very beginning because, of course, they need to complete their vaccination process. Normally, the vaccination process starts at 8 weeks. And depending on which vets you use, they can, you know, essentially it takes roughly about a month for all the vaccinations to finish and for the puppy to be ready to go out for walks. So initially, you're not going to be taking your puppy for walks anyway, but you might want to have something when you let them out in the back garden and stuff like that, just to keep them sort of from running underneath like small gaps or anything like that in the fence that you might have. And so we had this harness initially for when he was really small. Can't believe he used to fit in this. It's a basic harness that we got off eBay. Very simple design. Basically, you put that around him. Arms would go in either gap that you create with this central bar here, and then you would wrap that around and plug in here and here together around his belly, sorry, around the top of his back even. And these hooks here would then give you something to attach the lead to other than his collar, because we don't like attaching the lead to Arlo's collar because we don't want him to choke himself, because staffies, well, they can of course pull on their leads, but I must admit Arlo's not a puller, but we found that it was hard to get him to walk with the lead around his collar anyway. He hated it, but around his back he still didn't like it initially, because of course it takes a while for the dog to get used to being on lead, but it was much more favourable to him. But initially we started off with this cheap harness. I think this cost literally a couple of quid. It's cheap as chips. And we wanted a cheap harness because, one, we knew we weren't going to be walking him a lot at the beginning, and also, as well as that, puppies grow, so we knew he was going to outgrow it very quickly. And on top of that, it was learning experiences as well. We just thought we don't need something too much at the very beginning, and we wanted to learn our mistakes and learn what was good. So then we moved on quite quickly onto this. We did have another harness to that, which was similar to this, but very smaller, just in between. But might as well just show this because they were basically the same design. This is like a kind of jacket, a puffer jacket, because staffies, they do suffer in the cold. They've got very short fur and they don't like the cold. And of course, living in England, it's winter at the moment. It is very cold. So he was suffering. So we noticed that we needed to sort of a warmer harness for him, alongside obviously his jacket and everything like that we put him on to let the camera focus. And basically this works in similar design to that. It's just a bit sort of beefier. You can see the gaps where his legs go. You then would wrap this around him, put it on him like you would a jacket, velcro it shut, and clip these in like you did with them on the back. And where you clip him in is of course where your hooks are, where you put your lead, and that's where, and his head would come out this side here. Okay, and his back of his hind legs would be down here. Okay, and his front legs would be through, as I say, these gaps that you create by wrapping it around him. This harness was particularly good, and we've had a lot of use out of this harness. He's outgrown it now, just at the age of 4 months, roughly, just about outgrown it. It's too tight on him. Initially, the only problem we had with it was once, and once only, he did manage to slip his legs out of here and pull himself out, because, as I say, dogs initially, they don't like being on the lead, and they don't like clothes and things like that. So he was capable of escaping from this, but it was a lot harder than it was with this. From this he escaped quite a lot. This he only escaped once, and it took a lot of effort for him to do it, and he didn't run very far or anything, but obviously there's still a possibility with this. Now I think we got this one from Pets on Home rather than eBay, and it's a lovely little design. It keeps them warm. So if you're in a cold climate like England, for example, or even colder, then this is a nice starting harness. And then we've moved on to this. Okay, so this is a Julius K9 harness, and just let you look at it quickly before I describe its features. Okay, we've got attached to it its lead. Okay, so this is the lead, one of the leads that we use. This is a fixed lead. We do mostly use an extendable lead, and I'll go into the reasons about that on another video. But I just wanted to show you where the lead goes, which is there. That's why it's pre-attached. Okay, so GDS K9, you see, oops, that comes off. Okay, so the brand name you can take off, and you can replace with custom-made panels, which say, why my camera keep going out of focus? Which can say anything. So, like, for example, I'm hoping to at one point open my own gym or my own business, and when I have the dog there, I might want to have security written here, for example, or as a joke, fitness instructor, you know, something along those lines. So you can actually get custom-made side panels here, and my girlfriend, who's in a wheelchair, she does want actually perhaps something saying service dog or something along these lines, just so that people know that he's there to support her. Now, what's great about this harness is I've just done it on there. You can seal this with Velcro, but you can, once you open it up, you've got a handle on the top of the harness, and that's a really strong handle. It takes a massive amount of the effort for a dog to actually break this. In fact, there's a couple of dogs near us, which is a Rottweiler and a Rottweiler Akita mix. The male dog is a Rottweiler Akita Husky mix, so it's a right mix, and it's as strong as anything. And the owner was the one who introduced us to GDS K9. And she said she had them, and she was able to hold this massive dog, 50-kilogram dog, which was as strong as anything, by here when she wanted to, and it would hold that dog no problem whatsoever. So these are really brilliantly made harnesses, as strong as anything. It's fabric here, and as I say, plastic, almost like sort of leather plastic sort of paneling here. You then, basically the way you put this on is you would put their head through this end here, and this goes around the chest. So this can help stop your dog from pulling, because even though the weight is, the pull would be distributed around them, a bit of pressure is still put around their chest, so it can help discourage pulling a little bit. It's not an anti-pull harness, but it will work to some degree like that. And the great thing about it is, if I... Oops, I've just pulled that off. As you can see, this bit that goes around the chest loops through here. It's all Velcro. So let me just open it up. There you go. That's the harness completely opened up. And what you do is you just wrap that through the hoop. It's hard to do one-handed. So I apologise, guys, if I can't do this one-handed, but I am trying my best. There we go. So then you hook that through, and so as a result, this harness is very adjustable. It's got a lot of size accommodation for sizes and change. So for a young puppy, because we've still got a young puppy, this will accommodate for a change in size greatly, because you can just tighten it up or loosen it as needed. Across there, let's put that panel back on that I took off by mistake. So there's a lot of accommodation for size there. The other place where there's accommodation for size is, of course, the hook that you put underneath the belly that clips in. Okay, basically you can adjust them here like you would any one of these kind of fastenings, and so you've got a lot of size accommodation there as well around their belly. At the moment that's on the right setting, and I do struggle with these. I do admit I do struggle to work out which way to pull it to tighten it, which way to pull it to loosen it, but that's set up, so I'm going to leave that for now because I'm taking Arlo for a walk in a very short while. The lead, as I say, attaches to a very, very strong ring at the top of the harness, just there. And so if we were to put it on, as I say, his head would be over here, his hind legs over here, and this would be his chest nice and open. Now, what's nice about this is it does allow for, because of the size variation, if it's perfectly sized for your dog, you can just loosen it up and you can still fit in something like a jacket underneath. So this is Arlo's jacket. This would fit with him underneath this harness. My camera keeps going out of focus. I do apologise, guys, for if it keeps going out of focus. But you can fit a jacket underneath that harness very easily, keep them warm, but being able to keep them safe at the same time. And because the harness is going on the outside rather than sometimes underneath, like a lot of jackets do accommodate for. I mean, if I just get this jacket here, there is a hole in it to allow you to feed the a harness that goes underneath, or the collar, for example, underneath. You can find it and feed it through, but this harness goes around the outside, so it doesn't matter. Just go over any jacket that you put on the dog. It's wonderful. So far, this is a great harness, and as I say, we'll be sticking with this style of harness now for as long as possible. Now, there are staffy harnesses that you can get, the ones that go around the chest. They look beautiful, and we might get one of those as well. But because my girlfriend is in a wheelchair, this is something that she wanted, because being in a wheelchair, she can kind of grab down and hold the dog a lot easier in an electric wheelchair than a normal harness, because she can use the controls on a wheelchair with one hand and hold the dog like this with another if she ever has to grab the dog, and not on the lead, because like I say, another dog comes up, so let the ours off the lead, because we don't walk Arlo on the lead that much. So you know, when we take him off the lead, it's nice to be able to quickly be able to grab him without having to fiddle to put this back on. So this is a nice little sort of extra safety feature if you just need to grab your dog suddenly to stop them running across the road, or because an aggressive dog is coming over and you just want to pull them back to keep them nice and safe. Lovely guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm learning as I go along, so if you've got any advice on harnesses, what you've done, what you might advise or anything like that or recommend, then please share them in the comment section below, and I'll see you soon.